Zhou looked at the 550 new Master God tiers in front of him and nodded in satisfaction. Then, he chatted with them for a while longer before letting them go to the Blazing Sun Army's encampment and return to their respective posts. Zhou Fight calculated his current military strength after they left, including the 800 new recruits from the capital units, 66,666,660 pure-blooded dragons, and these 550 new Master God tiers, the troops under him, had already reached 1,914 capital units with 7,213,483,488,253 soldiers, 31,723,973,942 God spirits, 235,215,256 true God tiers, 10,057 Master Gods, and 7 Supreme Gods. At this point, Zhou could not help but smile. Nearly 2,000 capital unit soldiers, 30 billion God spirits, 200 million true gods, tens of thousands of Master Gods and the 7 Supreme Gods. Such combat strength was not inferior to Lord of 10,000 Evils at all. It was hard to imagine that he was just a dumbfounded character who looked at the troops of the Lord of 10,000 Evils 2 days ago. Be it strength, status, power, or military strength, he was not inferior to Lord of 10,000 Evils at all. It had only been 2 days that he had walked the path that Lord of 10,000 Evils had walked for his entire life. Apart from the fact that the ultimate void battleground was a good place, the most important contribution was naturally thanks to his supreme unique Lord talent, Son of Destiny. The Son of Destiny is too heaven-defying, Zhou lamented. In the past, this Lord talent had been concealed by him, the King of Spoils of War. However, the light it emitted already seemed to surpass the stronger heavenly fate Di Huang. Zhou shook his head and felt the lower limit of the human race's potential. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Low-tier deity level elementary grade. Today, the newly advanced Master God tier of the human race had finally advanced from the legendary tier to the low-tier deity level elementary grade. From now on, we humans can also call ourselves top-notch bloodline races, or gods. The name of our human race's god race shall be the Blazing Sun God race. Zhou had long thought about the name of the human race's god race, so he made this decision. Then, he sensed how many new Master God tier humans were needed for Godlord Blazing Sun to advance from the lower limit of the low-tier deity level elementary grade to the lower limit of the low-tier deity level intermediate grade. The answer is a familiar number. 500 new Master God tiers. Zhou heaved a sigh of relief. With the ultimate void battlefield, this number was not much to him. Then, he called Zhang Yuanqi over and asked him to publicize the name of the Blazing Sun God race. He had to inform the entire territory of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and even the myriad worlds. Let the myriad worlds know the name of their Blazing Sun God race. Zhang Yuanqi naturally agreed immediately. With this divine name, our Blazing Sun God race can truly stand at the peak of all races. He was so excited that tears welled up in his eyes. Zhang Yuanqi had followed Zhou for so long. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that he would be able to personally experience such a major event that would be remembered in history. This life was worth it. Then, he didn't have time to say anything else and immediately went to do it. Zhou smiled and went to the Lord Shop. However, while only the mythical tier Lord Shop naturally didn't have anything that Zhou was interested in, he still bought the 3 Master God tier treasures that were on sale today and threw them into his number 1 treasure vault. Then, just as he was about to leave, he suddenly sensed something and teleported to a wasteland. This wasteland was already outside the territory of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, but to Zhou, there was naturally nothing to worry about. He only looked at the black-robed figure in the distance. It was the Master God tier of Death, Thanatos. Thanatos was staring blankly at the barren land under his feet, thinking about something. Suddenly, he squatted down and looked at the grass seedling that had just been born in the desolate land beneath his feet. It was born in a barren land with almost no nutrition, but it forcefully displayed its endless green brilliance in this barren land. This touch of green was especially dazzling in Thanatos' eyes. Thanatos looked at the seedling with pity and love. Then, he looked at the entire wasteland with pity and love. The wilderness may be the wilderness, but under its barren land, there are countless plants and even other life forms that once died in this wasteland. It's precisely because of the nutrients left behind after their deaths that this grass seedling and other grass seedlings grew. The green on you is not your own green. It's the green of the whole wasteland. Desolation is not heartless. It's just dust to protect the green. Death is the end of life. That's true. The beginning of life. With that, Thanatos suddenly sat down with a relieved smile. Then, there was no longer any life in his body. He had fallen. Jojo frowned slightly when he saw this. He was preparing to walk forward to investigate when he suddenly had a premonition. After thinking for a few seconds, he closed his eyes before opening them again. His eyes flickered. At this moment, the world in his eyes suddenly changed. After the remnant will of the Master God tier, Thanatos, perished, it turned into the light of will and dissipated into the world like resplendent stars. The world received an active feedback from the will of a Master God tier. The light between heaven and earth seemed to have become brighter at this moment. And so, the world also began to give feedback on the Master God Thanatos. An existence that carried a very small portion of the destiny of the high continent gradually condensed at the place where the Master God of Death, Thanatos, had died. It was the fallen Thanatos. He had already come back to life. The newly resurrected Master God Thanatos was only at the Black Iron Tier elementary grade. However, he looked up, opened his arms, and embraced the world. In the next second, a vast amount of heaven and earth energy surged into Thanatos' ordinary body as if it was attracted by a vortex. Thanatos' strength began to increase at an astonishing speed. White Silver Tier elementary grade, Diamond Tier elementary grade, Epic Tier elementary grade, Low Tier Deity level elementary grade, High Tier Deity level elementary grade, True God Tier elementary grade, Master God Tier elementary grade, Master God intermediate grade, Master God Tier advanced grade. Boom! The final shackle that prevented Thanatos from advancing only lasted for a few seconds before it was broken. An aura of extreme nomological power, God among gods, and will divine transformation realm emitted from Thanatos. He also announced his existence to the myriad worlds. At this moment, the myriad worlds were shocked by this aura. Another supreme god had finally been born in the myriad worlds. Even the supreme will, who was far away in the supreme domain, took the time to look at Thanatos, who had just advanced to grade 1 supreme god. Among the 10 most likely to advance to supreme god, the first one to advance was actually him. I really didn't expect this. I thought it would be Terrence. Then the supreme will saw Jojo, who was not far from Thanatos. When the supreme will saw this, he instantly understood. Thanatos' advancement was probably related to this little fellow. That would be normal. He had personally chosen the Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army after all. The birth of a supreme god with his help was surprising, but it was not incomprehensible. At the thought of this, the Supreme Will withdrew his gaze and focused on the battlefield where the illusionist clan was fighting. On the wasteland, when Jojo saw Thanatos advance to a grade 1 supreme god, a smile appeared on his face. He had indeed invested in the right choice. This Master God tier of death, Thanatos, had actually made a breakthrough between life and death and advanced to become a supreme god. There were only about 10,000 supreme gods in the entire universe, and Thanatos was one of them. At this moment, Thanatos turned to look at Jojo and said respectfully, "Grade 1 Supreme God of Death, Thanatos, greets the common people's regal, Your Excellency Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army. Congratulations on becoming a Grade 1 Supreme God, Your Excellency." Jojo also congratulated him with a smile. It's all thanks to your excellency's help that I was able to become a grade 1 supreme god. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll have already died. How can I still see the scenery that only supreme gods can see? Thanatos sighed. This emperor only gave your excellency a slight push. Zhou shook his head and did not take credit. His Majesty's push directly created a supreme god. Thanatos smiled. Zhou smiled and nodded before asking, I wonder what plans your excellency has for the future after you become a supreme god? I plan to join the blazing sun divine kingdom and serve His Majesty to repay His Majesty for saving my life and achieving the Tao. Your Majesty, please agree, Thanatos said without hesitation. In that case, I'll oblige. The smile on Zhou's face became even more sincere. Wasn't he investing for this? Thanatos was clearly a smart person. After knowing Zhou's intentions, he immediately agreed. Zhou liked to make friends with such people. Welcome, Your Excellency, to becoming the 8th Supreme God of this Emperor's blazing sun divine kingdom. I hope that in the future, Your Excellency can work together with us to create a greater divine kingdom. You can also seek a better future for yourself. The current him wouldn't be afraid of any enemy. Thanatos nodded. Then, he suddenly reacted and widened his eyes. Wait a minute, what was going on? Was he the 8th Supreme God? How long had it been? And this Your Excellency, the common people's regal, already had 7 supreme gods. The last time he saw the common people's regal, the other party didn't even have a supreme god, right? What exactly happened in just 2 to 3 days? Thanatos was deeply puzzled. Even though he had just become a supreme god, it was precisely because of this that he could deeply experience the power of a supreme god. That was why he didn't understand. However, he didn't think too much about it. Perhaps this was the reason why Zhou was the Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army. He could always create miracles that others could not understand. At this moment, Zhou threw another boundless universe-level world rings to him. Thanatos subconsciously took it. Then, he heard Zhou say, There are 6 grade 1 supreme divine artifacts here. They are all supreme divine artifacts related to the law of life and death. They should be very suitable for Your Excellency. Your Excellency, you can choose one of them as a gift for this Emperor to celebrate your advancement to a grade 1 supreme god. The remaining 5 supreme divine artifacts will be lent to Your Excellency by this Emperor for his own use. When Your Excellency has accumulated enough military merits under this Emperor, Your Excellency can use the military merits to purchase 5 supreme divine artifacts first. Thanatos. His heart was already numb. First, he threw out the news that he already had 7 supreme gods worshipping him, and now, he threw 6 supreme divine artifacts at him, with a nonchalant expression. Could Your Excellency already be a supreme existence? Otherwise, why would you be so generous? The offerings of supreme gods and supreme divine artifacts were not as common as cabbages in his hands, but they were almost there. He didn't dare to think too much about it. Thanatos said respectfully and gratefully, Thank you for your reward, Your Majesty. I will definitely do my best to contribute more military merits. Zhou nodded and said, Come back with this Emperor. Very well, Your Majesty. Thanatos nodded. The two of them teleported back to Blazing Sun Divine Capital. In the Divine Capital, Zhou had just arrived when he got Zhou Marshal and company to lead the soldiers to the Chaos Sea to continue harvesting Chaos Divine Treasures. He currently had 136 Chaos Divine Treasures in his hands. He was still far from the 500 Chaos Divine Treasures needed for his advancement. He would probably need 2 to 3 days to collect all of them. After sending Zhou Marshal to the Chaos Sea, Zhou took out all his Race Divine artifacts and began to think about how he should modify that Race Divine artifact today. A moment later, Zhou had a goal. He took out a crystalline clam pearl. This clam pearl emitted a dense aura of the law of water, and countless illusory clam gods could be vaguely seen living inside. The divine artifact of this race was one of the spoils of war these days. However, Zhou didn't care because it wasn't a human race divine artifact. Now that it was starting to be useful to Zhou, he took it out. He looked at this racial divine artifact. A notification appeared. Race divine artifact name, Heavenly Water Holy Pearl, equipment grade. Advanced race divine artifact, bound, clam race. Race divine artifact ability, divine protection of clams. Exclusive race divine artifact. Under the protection of the god of clams, all clams will obtain a weak increase in their water law talent. Moreover, they will be immune to 30% water-type damage. The strength of the water-type attacks released will be increased by 30%. Race Divine Artifact Description. The Heavenly Water Holy Pearl is the first ancestral god of clams in the myriad worlds. After it died, it used up all the essence of its divine body to condense a racial treasure. It can protect the clam race and allow them to have more future development potential. I'll choose you. Zhou finally made a decision after watching for a while. The reason why he chose this race divine artifact was because he had plans. The chances of modifying the race's divine artifact were limited, so he had to have his own plans. And his thoughts were, he wanted to first enhance the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom with an immunity to all attributes, ignoring those messy races' enhancement abilities. For example, 5-element damage immunity, space-time damage immunity, physics damage immunity, soul damage immunity, and even willpower damage immunity. He would first increase the basic attributes of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Then, step by step, he would increase his luck, appearance, perception, bloodline, and so on. He would gradually build the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom into the strongest race in the world. This Heavenly Water Holy Pearl was his first target. This was because he could augment the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom with immunity to water-type damage. Even though it was not the divine artifact of all races that had the highest immunity to damage, it was at least the highest among the many race divine artifacts in his hands. However, it was at least the highest among the many race divine artifacts in his hands. Zhou did not waste any time after choosing his target. He immediately took out the Common People's Cauldron and threw the Heavenly Water Holy Pearl in to accept the modification of the Common People's Cauldron. Soon, Zhou felt that 2% of his luck had been stripped out of his total luck and fused into the Common People's Cauldron, turning into firewood for the Common People's Cauldron. He began to modify the Heavenly Water Holy Pearl. A moment later, boom! A low and muffled sound sounded, and the entire Common People's Cauldron shook slightly. Then, the lid of the Common People's Cauldron suddenly opened automatically. A silver stream of light flew out and headed straight for Zhou Fight before stopping in front of him. At the same time, Zhou also felt it. About 4% of the power of Providence flew out from its surface and fused into his Providence. When Zhou sensed this, he immediately smiled. His luck had increased by 2%. It was equivalent to using a moment to obtain 2 Divine Kingdom Lord factions for free. This was a good deal. Then, he looked at the modified racial divine artifact. Race divine artifact name, Heavenly Water Holy Pearl, equipment grade, high-level racial divine artifact, bound. Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, race divine artifact ability, divine protection of the clam. Exclusive race divine artifact. Under the protection of the clam god, all citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom will receive a weak increase in their talent in the law of water. Moreover, they will be immune to 20% water-type damage. The strength of the water-type attacks released will be increased by 20%. Race divine artifact ability, divine protection of the clam. Exclusive race divine artifact. Under the protection of the clam god, all citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom will receive a weak increase in their talent in the law of water. Moreover, they will be immune to 20% water-type damage. The strength of the water-type attacks released will be increased by 20%. Zhou nodded slightly after reading it. As a universal race divine artifact, it could be used on any race or multiple races in the myriad races of the heavens. Naturally, it was not limited to just one Blazing Sun god race. Therefore, Zhou bound it to all the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. This way, all the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom could obtain the protection of the Heavenly Water Holy Pearl. Of course, even though the Universal Race Divine Artifacts could be used by one or more races, it did not mean that they could be used on all races in the entire myriad worlds at the same time. Only a divine artifact of a race that surpassed a supreme divine artifact could do such a thing. However, Zhou had never heard of such a thing. Just as Zhou modified the Heavenly Water Holy Pearl, a race divine artifact, all the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom also knew that the Blazing Sun human race had become the Blazing Sun God race. They also sensed the changes brought about by the Heavenly Water Holy Pearl. They were naturally overjoyed and excited about this. Just as Zheng Yuanqi had said, their Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom could be considered a top bloodline faction with the Blazing Sun God race. Without the Blazing Sun God race, no matter how many Master God tiers they had and how many races submitted to them on the surface, in the eyes of others, they were just a high-level race with many Master God tiers. At the Chaos Sea, at that moment, Zhou Marshall and company had already brought the God of Death, Thanatos, here. One grade 1 supreme god like God of Death Thanatos around. It was comparable to an army of 1 billion god spirits after all. He soon saw the space-time chaotic divine demons. Zhou Marshall only took a glance before a smile appeared on his face. Therefore, there were a total of 62 chaotic divine demons below. There were 27 more than last time. He flew down with Thanatos and arrived in front of him. "Greetings, Your Majesty." The 4 chaotic divine demons, Space, Wind, and Ghost, immediately came in front of Zhou Marshall and said respectfully. The other chaotic divine demons followed suit and bowed to Zhou Marshall. "You guys did well. This Emperor is very satisfied." Zhou Marshall first spoke to the space-time chaotic divine demons before looking at the remaining chaotic divine demons. "Are all of you willing to trade chaotic divine treasures with this Emperor?" "Exactly. That's what we're here for. We also want chaos divine treasures." The remaining 58 chaotic divine demons spoke one after another, each with their own reasons. The space-time chaotic divine demons looked at each other and smiled without saying anything. At the same time, their expressions relaxed. When Zhou Marshall saw that these chaotic divine demons were willing to trade, he did not waste any time. He took out 238 Master God tier divine artifacts and threw them to the space-time chaotic divine demons to manage them. Then, he made them stand obediently and kill them with a single palm strike. Now, even if he did not use a supreme divine artifact, his combat strength was comparable to an ordinary grade 3 supreme god realm. Therefore, it was naturally easy for him to kill the chaotic divine demons at the level of the 58 Master Gods. As for the space-time chaotic divine demon, he did not know about Zhou Marshall's situation. They only saw Zhou Marshall casually kill a total of 58 chaotic divine demons with a single palm strike. It seemed to be even easier than the last time. A thought appeared in the minds of all the chaotic divine demons. Their Majesty's strength had increased again. They couldn't help but gulp. Wasn't His Majesty's strength increasing too quickly? How long has it been? While they were shocked, they could not help but feel lucky and pleasantly surprised. The faster His Majesty's strength increased, the more it proved that their decision to join His Majesty was right. "Congratulations on improving your strength, Your Majesty," the space-time chaotic divine demons said respectfully. Zhou Marshall smiled and nodded. He was in a good mood. This was because he had obtained 268 units of chaotic divine treasures after extracting the 58 chaotic divine demons. He was only 96 chaos divine treasures away from the 500 units of chaos divine treasures needed to advance. 96 chaos divine treasures isn't much. I'll be able to upgrade my territory by tomorrow. Then I'll be able to upgrade the country. Zhou Marshall's eyes lit up. The collection of the chaos divine treasures was much faster than he had imagined. Following that, he didn't say anything else. He first rewarded the space-time chaotic divine demons and got them to bring more chaotic divine demons here the next time. He then activated the warp gate and returned to the Blazing Sun divine capital with Thanatos. Today, Thanatos still had to follow the blazing sun divine kingdom's army to conquer the high continent. It would not be a problem even if they encountered a divine kingdom lord faction that was even harder to deal with a grade 1 supreme god like Thanatos holding down the fort. At the same time, in the ultimate void battlefield, Zoophyte had already led the blazing sun divine kingdom's army and lord of 10,000 evil's army to the first void mystic realm. The first void mystic realm that Zoophyte and the others came to was called the Sky Void Mystic Realm. The entire void mystic realm was a dark purple ball of light. Outside the ball of light, there was a faint layer of pure white light wrapped around the dark purple ball of light. Zoophyte took a closer look at the pure white light membrane and suddenly said, "The power of the supreme will." "That's right." The Lord of 10,000 evils nodded. "This void mystic realm was originally prepared for us, so it's naturally impossible for the ultimate void race to step in. Therefore, the Supreme will specially set up this protective barrier. This protective barrier is harmless to the gods of our supreme great cosmos, but to the living beings of the ultimate void race, whoever touches it will die. It's precisely because of this that these void secret realms have been preserved until now." Zoophyte nodded. Then they flew straight into the void mystic realm. Just as Lord of 10,000 evils said, this pure white membrane of light was completely harmless to them. The gods easily entered the pure white membrane of light. Then they entered the purple ball of light. This was a world where chaotic air currents intertwined with the dark purple void. After Zoophyte and the others arrived, they realized that they were on a land full of vitality. This continent was extremely large, about the size of 1,000 boundless universes. It was completely enough for the tens of billions of god spirits to fight and live on this continent. What abundant promotion energy! Zoophyte grabbed the condensed mist in his hand and exclaimed after taking a deep breath. The promotion energy here was so abundant that it was visible to the naked eye. A low-tier deity-level elementary grade god spirit would probably be able to advance from low-tier deity-level elementary grade to low-tier deity intermediate grade within a month. Could be seen how rich the promotion energy here was. And then, he quickly discovered a shocking fact. That was, there were actually non-god spirits living beings in the Sky Void Mystic Realm. Moreover, there were quite a number of them. Their strength was also generally very high. He looked over and realized that the weakest among them had the strength of an elementary grade extraordinary tier. As for god spirits, even though there were fewer of them, there were still many of them. As for god spirits, although there were fewer of them, there were still many of them. Because this place is isolated from the ultimate void environment of the outside world, coupled with the abundance of promotional energy, it's very easy to give birth to some powerful life forms. Moreover, they won't be affected by the outside environment. However, they can only stay in the void mystic realm for the rest of their lives. They can't go out for the rest of their lives because if they go out, they won't be able to withstand the ultimate void environment outside and will die. Also, look up there. The Lord of 10,000 evils pointed at the sky after he finished speaking. Zoophyte looked over. Then, he realized that there was a kingdom in the sky. That country seemed to be very prosperous. God spirit-level existences lived there, causing the entire country to emit various nomological divine lights, making it seem like a holy country. The life forms on the continent would occasionally look up at the divine kingdom in the sky with envy in their eyes. Only a small number of gods looked at the divine kingdom in the sky with hatred in their eyes. "What's that?" Zoophyte asked. "That's the Sky Divine Kingdom, a divine spirit kingdom formed by the strongest god spirits in the firmament void mystic realm. They see this as their territory. Furthermore, the treasure left behind by the supreme will is in the hands of these guys. If we want to conquer this void territory, we must destroy this country," the Lord of 10,000 evils said. Zoophyte nodded. As for why the other party knew so much about it, Zoophyte did not need to ask. Lord of 10,000 evils had run this place for so many years, so it was natural for him to know this. If he didn't even know these things, it could only mean that Lord of 10,000 evils was really useless. At this moment, God spirits soared into the sky from the sky divine kingdom and quickly formed an army of more than 10 billion God spirits in the sky. Among them were more than 10 billion ordinary God spirits. There were more than 1 billion true God tier. There were more than 30,000 master gods. There were a total of 5 supreme gods. When Zoophyte saw this scene, even though he was surprised, he did not panic. This was because from the looks of their military strength, it was obvious that they had the upper hand. He clicked his tongue in wonder. A small void mystic realm can actually nurture so many God spirits and even supreme gods. Lord Supreme Will, you've really put in a lot of effort into this void secret realm. The Lord of 10,000 Evils didn't speak. This was because he was too embarrassed to say it. After all, it was true that the Supreme Will had prepared so much, but he didn't have the ability to take it. Now, he had asked a junior to bring them over to take it. Lord of 10,000 Evils had a complicated feeling in his heart. At this moment, they saw the gods of the sky divine kingdom suddenly fly towards them and quickly stop above them, surrounding them. This scene was also seen by the living beings and God spirits on this mainland. What happened? 1032. What are the army of God doing there? They seem to have surrounded a group of God spirits? Is it a new outsider? I wonder if this group of outsiders can do it. Can we teach this high and mighty army of God a lesson? The last one left not long after he arrived. It's better not to have any hope for them. The deities on the continent discussed animatedly. At the same time, you're outsiders? In the Sky Divine Kingdom Sky Army, the leader, a tall God spirit in a red general robe, looked down at them and said, he exuded the divine pressure of a level 2 supreme god and was one of the strongest in the Sky Army. We are the 3rd and 4th Reserve Army under the Supreme Will. I came here this time to take back the treasures and legacies that the Supreme Will left for us. And who are you? Zoophyte asked calmly. Treasures. Legacies. Left for you. The red-robed general chuckled. As long as something in this world belongs to our Sky Divine Kingdom. Where did you get your face from? How dare you say such shameless words? Zoophyte's expression was calm. He only drew the Xian Yuan divine sword from his waist and aimed the tip of the sword at the grade 2 supreme god. Since we can't negotiate, let's see what we can do. He said softly. The red-robed divine general was stunned. The supreme gods behind him were also stunned. A war involving tens of billions of God spirits could be started just because they had exchanged a few words. Do you think war is a game? You still wanted to chat more and fight for some conditions for the upcoming negotiations? In the end, you wanted to fight the moment you came up? The Lord of 10,000 Evils couldn't help but smile when he saw the red-robed divine general's expression. Over the past few days, he had finally figured out the temper of this common people's regal. Therefore, he wasn't surprised that the other party could make such a decisive decision. This was a ruthless person who led troops to take down a void base as soon as he arrived at the ultimate void battleground. Do you still expect him to negotiate with you? Those who follow me prosper, and those who oppose me perish. This was the essence of these lords. In the past, he could not come, but now that he was here, he came with the intention and determination to conquer the other party. Kill the enemy with me. Bayun was the first to activate the war horn after receiving Zoophyte's order. He picked up the bow and pulled the arrow. 9 streams of light instantly flew out and then fused into one, transforming into an arrow that tore through the sky with a surging momentum. It went straight for the red-robed divine general's head. Bayun, who was Master God Tier Advanced Grade, had already touched the threshold of the Supreme God under the double blessing of the Lord Talent, the protection of the Supreme Will, and the inheritance of the Supreme God that he had. In addition, he walked the path of military formations and was best at gathering the strength of an army. Therefore, this arrow actually erupted with the aura of a supreme law skill. The red-robed divine general's expression changed slightly. How could he dare to underestimate this sky-breaking arrow? He immediately brandished the spear in his hand and sent out a huge nomological spear blade to counterattack the arrow that tore through the sky. The two collided in the blink of an eye, and a shocking explosion occurred. After the light dissipated, these two attacks actually disappeared from the world at the same time. When the red-robed divine general saw this, his expression immediately turned ugly. However, he was a grade 2 supreme god. The other party was only a master god tier advanced grade god spirit, at most a quasi-grade 1 supreme god. They were evenly matched in this battle, so in the eyes of the other god spirits, he had already lost. At this moment, Zhou Feit's cold voice sounded. This emperor doesn't like things barking on this emperor's head. Fight us on the continent. With that, Zhou Feit directly activated the law skill all the land in the world belongs to the king. This emperor orders all of you to only fight on the ground. With a single word, the world became his domain. The strongest lord's nomological fluctuations came from him and radiated in all directions. The Sky Divine Kingdom Sky Army was the first to bear the brunt. They could not control their divine bodies and fell from the sky like dumplings. Even the red-robed grade 2 supreme god fell from the sky with a drastic change of expression and landed heavily on the ground. The red-robed divine general was not injured at all. He immediately stood up and looked at Zhou Feit with red eyes. The fact that he had just fallen from the sky was definitely the greatest insult he could remember. There's a huge contrast between the way you're eating shit and the way you were talking nonsense in the sky just now. This emperor likes it very much, Zhou Feit said with a faint smile. The red-robed divine general was enraged. He was the Sky Divine Kingdom's great general. In terms of status, other than the few subordinates who had contributed greatly, he was second only to the Sky Divine Kingdom's marshal. He had long been used to living a high and mighty life after so many years. How could he tolerate Bai Yun's provocation? Fight back. Destroy these foreigners who don't know the dignity of the Divine Kingdom, he ordered angrily. At this moment, the Sky Divine Kingdom's marshal did not say anything when he saw this. He tacitly agreed to the other party's order to attack. The other party had already attacked after all. He had no choice but to counterattack. Soon, the two armies clashed on land. It could be seen with the naked eye that the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom's army and the Thousand Evil army had an absolute advantage with their numerical advantage and the number of supreme gods. The founder of the Sky Divine Kingdom and the only grade 4 supreme god of the Sky Divine Kingdom naturally saw this scene. His expression was a little ugly, but he did not panic. He first took out an ancient golden mirror that was engraved with complicated patterns. Zhou Feit and Lord of 10,000 Evils immediately noticed this ancient mirror. "What's that?" Zhou Feit asked. "I don't know. The last time I came, I only roughly investigated the forces of the Sky Divine Kingdom and withdrew. Later on, the Sky Void Mystic Realm was occupied by the ultimate Void race, and I never came again." The Lord of 10,000 Evils' expression was solemn. "But I guess it should be a treasure left behind by the Supreme Will, because the quality of this mirror should be at the Supreme God level. Even though this small Void Mystic Realm is comparable to or even surpassed many Supreme God-level blessed lands in terms of energy quality, it's very, very difficult to give birth to a divine artifact of this quality." Zhou Feit nodded. He had the same thought. "All hands on deck. Beware of the ancient golden mirror." Zhou Feit ordered the entire army through the army's interface. The order had just been given. All the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom soldiers raised their heads and looked warily at the golden ancient mirror. Shortly after, the golden mirror soared into the sky and floated above the army, reflecting the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and Lord of 10,000 Evils. This move reflected nearly 1 billion god spirits in the mirror. Boom! Powerful spatial laws emanated from the surface of the ancient golden mirror, causing the surrounding space to be sealed. As for the shining army, their bodies suddenly stiffened, unable to move. Then, the golden mirror suddenly turned around and shone the other side of the mirror on the billion god spirits. These nearly 1 billion god spirits actually seemed to be controlled. They turned around expressionlessly and brandished the divine artifacts in their hands to attack their allies. Seeing this scene, the Sky God Lord nodded slightly. This was one of the 4 void treasures in his hands. It was called the Summoning Mirror. As long as he used the Summoning Mirror to illuminate the other party, he could freeze the other party. Then, he could use the other side of the Summoning Mirror to illuminate the other party and order the other party around. Even supreme gods were very vulnerable to his Summoning Mirror. Even if one specialized in mental defense, soul defense, or even will defense, it would be useless. As long as he was under the light, he would definitely be controlled. This was the magical aspect of the Summoning Mirror. However, this Summoning Mirror was only useful to life forms below the Supreme God level. It was completely useless to existences at the willpower level and above. However, that was not a flaw at all. It was difficult to even produce a supreme divine artifact in the Sky Void Mystic Realm, let alone a supreme will realm existence after all. Therefore, the Summoning Mirror was basically invincible in this world. At the same time, just as the Sky God Lord was rejoicing over the effects of the Summoning Mirror, Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at Zhou Fight with a strange expression. Zhou Fight raised his eyebrows slightly with a strange expression. He knew what Lord of 10,000 Evils wanted to say. That mirror's method was indeed a little like his Son of Destiny. However, the actual effect is far from good. He could directly incite half of the other party's troops after using his Son of Destiny. How could he only instigate the incite defection of 1 billion god spirits? Petty. I'll show you real control. Zhou Fight raised his right hand and activated the Son of Destiny. The Lord Talent notification appeared. Prompt. You have activated your supreme unique Lord Talent, Son of Destiny. You have been blessed by the heavens. 50% of the enemies in the enemy Lord's faction have been summoned by the heavens and have become your loyal subordinates. Lord Talent notification. A total of 5,223,414,354 low-tier deity level god spirits. 3,382,549,365 mid-tier deity-level god spirits, 2,128,372,389 high-tier deity-level god spirits, 520,342,340 true god tiers, 15,123 supremacy gods, 1 grade 1 supreme god, and 1 grade 2 supreme gods left their organizations and became your heavenly followers. Zhou Fight nodded in satisfaction after reading it. While this Sky Divine Kingdom was only a divine kingdom in a void mystic realm, it had to be said that his Son of Destiny gained a lot. He released the Son of Destiny and directly obtained 10,734,336,108 god spirits, 520,342,340 true gods, 15,123 master gods, and 2 supreme gods. The total number of ordinary god spirits had increased by 1/3. The number of master gods had increased by 1.5 times. Could be said to be a huge gain. Then, he didn't hesitate to get the god spirits that the Son of Destiny had incite defection to immediately counterattack the Sky Divine Kingdom. So in the next second, under the incredulous gazes of the Sky God Lord, the red-robed God General, and the other Supreme God, half of the God spirits under their command suddenly turned around and counterattacked their own people. What's going on? The Sky God Lord and the others were dumbfounded. Why did the God spirits, true gods, master gods, and even supreme gods on their side attack their own people instead? It must be a trick, Sky God Lord said solemnly. I didn't know there was such a thing. I wonder when they'll regain consciousness? The Sky God Lord felt that the situation was a little tricky. His military strength and number of god spirits were inferior to the other party to begin with. Now that the other party had used such a strange method to make half of his subordinates join the other party, how could they continue fighting? Even if I take out my other 3 void artifacts, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with him. This thought flashed across the Sky God Lord's mind, and his expression turned ugly. Your Majesty. At this moment, The Sky Marshal suddenly said, I realized that even though the other party's method is strange, it's not impossible to resolve it. What do you mean? Tell me. Your Majesty, once my method is heard by the other party, it won't work. I need to approach Your Majesty and inform you using a secret technique. The Sky Marshal said solemnly. Then come and talk. The Sky Marshal had no other doubts. In the entire Sky Divine Kingdom, if the Sky Marshal said that he was the second most loyal subject to him, no other god spirit would dare to say that he was the first after all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to sit in this position. The Sky Marshal nodded and walked towards the Sky God Lord. When the great general saw this scene, he had a strange feeling. He felt that something was wrong with the Sky Marshal. Just as he was hesitating whether to remind His Majesty, the Sky Marshal had already leaned over to the Sky God Lord's side. He whispered, Your Majesty, the other party's method of cracking this strange law skill is... Puff! The Sky Marshal stabbed his saber into the other party's chest. Then, the faint sound of something shattering could be heard from his chest. That was the Sky God Lord's supreme God divine spark. The Sky Marshal's slash had actually caused cracks to appear on the Sky God Lord's divine spark. Ha 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 ha! The Sky Marshal laughed as he retreated. In the blink of an eye, he rushed into the battlefield and disappeared. Only his mocking voice echoed in the ears of the Sky God Lord and the surrounding god spirits. Sky God Lord, you are no match for my lord, the common people's regal. Surrender quickly. I'll still ask my lord to spare your life out of consideration for him. If you resist stubbornly, you will die. Silence. The god spirits around the Sky Marshal reacted only after a few seconds. Your Majesty. His Majesty is wounded. Hurry and take your medicine. Damn you, Bakar. How dare you betray His Majesty and even stab him? I'm going to kill you. At this moment, some god spirits were terrified. Some were angry. Some were uneasy. And some were secretly happy. As for the Sky God Lord, who was surrounded by the gods, his face was extremely pale and his aura was extremely weak. On the surface, he looked strong and calm. He secretly checked his condition before his heart sank. He was severely injured. Moreover, because of the damage to his divine spark, if he did not take the divine medicine to treat it in time, his strength would fall from a grade 4 Supreme God realm to a grade 3 Supreme God realm, or even lower. At the thought of this, he was completely flustered. Strength was the capital and foundation for him to control everything. If his strength decreased, then everything he had now would disappear. Who wouldn't panic? Then, he felt an irrepressible anger. He had been painstakingly cultivating for so long. He did not expect that in a moment of carelessness, he would let his most trusted subordinates stab him in the back. He hated Bakar, the Sky Marshal that he once trusted the most. However, the rational him was even more ruthless than Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils, who had brought all of this. They brought all this calamity. Kill them. I want to kill them all. The Sky God Lord's eyes were bloodshot as if he had gone crazy. Your Majesty, what do we do next? Another grade 2 Supreme God asked solemnly. The situation on the field was now very clear. Facing the joint attack of the Lord of 10,000 Evils and Zhou Zhan, coupled with the insight defection of Zhou Fight's Son of Destiny, the army of the Sky Divine Kingdom was no longer their match. If His Majesty could not come up with any trump cards to control the battlefield, they would definitely lose this battle. Kill them all, of course. Otherwise, it's hard to get rid of my heart. The Sky God Lord looked at the Supreme God with bloodshot eyes. Seeing this pair of eyes, the Supreme God and the surrounding god spirits could not help but feel apprehensive. The Sky God Lord snorted and stretched out his right hand. A divine bone covered in dense nomological patterns appeared in his hand. This is a treasure from the ultimate void. It was swept into our world by the space vortex and became one of our world's most precious treasures. I call it the Heavenly Divine Bones. There's an incomplete law skill in the celestial divine bones called the celestial divine light. It's extremely powerful. Even a top supreme god wearing a 4th grade supreme divine artifact can't withstand the power of the celestial divine light. I will use it to slay the leader of this enemy, the Sky God Lord said hatefully. His Majesty actually has such a supreme treasure. Our divine kingdom is saved. Hearing this, the deities were instantly excited. Watch me take the head of the enemy. The Sky God Lord raised the sky divine bones. In the next second, the heaven divine bones emitted an extremely resplendent light. This light was so bright that all the living beings on the entire continent could see its existence. Shortly after, the light condensed once more, quickly forming a sphere of golden flames. It seemed to have eyes as it spun around. In the blink of an eye, he looked at all the living beings on the battlefield and finally fixed his gaze on Zhou Fight. So it's all his doing. The heavenly divine light had the ability to find enemies, so it could tell at a glance that Zhou Fight was the leader and decision-maker of the war. Kill him, the Sky God Lord said with hatred. As soon as he finished speaking, swoosh, a golden flame flashed and headed straight for Zhou Fight. Not long ago, Zhou Fight was chatting with the Lord of 10,000 Evils. This sky divine kingdom is really weak. With so many god spirits, you're nothing but a silver spearhead. Zhou Fight lamented. The corners of the Lord of 10,000 Evils' mouth twitched. Anyone would be useless in front of your strange insight defection method. Fortunately, this ability could only be used once. Otherwise, in 2 days, the ultimate void battleground would be surnamed Zhou. It's normal. After the Lord of 10,000 Evils calmed down his complicated emotions, he explained. The Void Secret Realm is a reward-type secret realm created by the Supreme Will. Naturally, there won't be any powerful opponents. It's enough for us to sharpen ourselves. Zhou Fight nodded. Right at that moment, he felt a faint sense of threat. He looked up and happened to see a golden resplendent divine light flying towards him, with an earth-shattering momentum. Zhou Fight's eyes narrowed, but he did not panic. With a thought, he saw 3 divine incarnations condensed from his divine power appear in front of him. These incarnations of divine power were covered in supreme divine artifacts. As soon as they appeared, they flew straight towards the golden light that reached the sky. The first divine clone quickly clashed with the divine light. With the help of the supreme divine artifact on him, this first divine power clone only resisted for a few seconds before it was destroyed by the heavenly divine light. Even the supreme divine artifact was shattered to a certain extent. However, the golden light also dimmed a little. Next, the second clone and the third clone also stepped forward to block the divine light. After the 3 doppelgangers, the divine light in the sky had already dissipated because it had neutralized the divine light's power. The ambush failed. Your Majesty, bring on whatever else you have got to avoid being put in a coffin after death. Zhou Fight smiled at the Sky God Lord in the distance. The Sky God Lord was about to go crazy, but at the same time, he felt immense fear towards the god spirit. Zhou Fight. This guy is too scary. It was as if he could easily resolve any trump card he brought out. No way. The Sky God Lord calmed down and his gaze became vicious again. No matter how many tricks the other party had, he had to give it his all. Otherwise, once he was defeated, his life would no longer be in his hands. Then, the Sky God Lord used 3 more treasures in a row. The first treasure was a pink gauze. After he used this treasure, the 10 billion god spirits under him had an additional layer of pink gauze on his body, increasing his defense. Increasing the defense of 10 billion god spirits at the same time was indeed a good treasure, but it was only SOSO for Zhou Fight. He had only summoned the dragon god of all life and added a few buffs to him and the evil army. He had easily surpassed him, and even destroyed the effects of the other party's pink gauze treasure. The second treasure that the Sky God Lord took out was a treasure that could affect and even control the will of the God Spirit army. However, as top-notch Supreme Holy Mage gods, the Supreme God Realm soldiers and Supreme Holy Mage gods under him had the talent for will defense. The other party's will to control treasures did not have any negative impact on their army at all. Coupled with the existence of the resolute treasure seal, such a treasure that attacked the will was even more useless to them. The third treasure was a pill. After the Sky God Lord carefully took out the pill, he asked the Grade 2 Supreme God-level Great General to come over and let them take it. After consuming this pill, this Great General's strength had actually temporarily advanced from a Grade 2 Supreme God to a Grade 4 Supreme God. His combat strength had greatly increased, and he had thrown himself into the battlefield to show his might. Zhou Feit, who had not reacted all this while, was a little angry when he saw this scene. He had long treated the treasures of the Sky Divine Kingdom as his own. In particular, some of the treasures were left behind by the Supreme Will. It was fine if the other party used the first few treasures. He could still use them after taking them over after all. However, this pill was a consumable treasure. If you used it all up, there would really be nothing left. It would be strange if he wasn't angry. "You're using my pills." Zhou Feit was very dissatisfied, so he immediately ordered the 2 Grade 2 Supreme Gods under him, who were dressed in Supreme God artifacts, to destroy the Sky Divine Kingdom's Great General. This fellow had just eaten this pill not long ago. After eliminating him, he could extract the other party's spoils of war. Perhaps he could even drop the pill. Zhou Feit thought to himself. As for the Sky Divine Kingdom's Great General, he immediately became high-spirited after taking the elixir and temporarily increasing his strength to that of a Grade 4 Supreme God. He looked at Zhou Feit viciously. In the next moment, he disappeared on the spot. Zhou Feit also noticed the other party's gaze. He extended his right hand and saw the recently obtained ancient mirror appear in his hand. He threw it up and saw the ancient mirror fly above his head and slowly rotate, illuminating all directions of the Zhou Feit, illuminating all the hidden life forms in the space and void. Before the Great General, who had just infiltrated in stealth mode, could get close to Zhou Feit, he was directly exposed by the ancient mirror. The Great General was stunned. "How dare you come alone? Do you really think that you are invincible just because you have the ultimate void escape technique?" The Lord of 10,000 Evils laughed sinisterly. Zhou Feit did not say anything else. The Lord of 10,000 Evils turned into a black stream of light and rushed towards the Supreme God of the Sky Divine Kingdom. In addition, 2 Supreme Gods each flew out from the blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and the 1,000 Evil army to attack the Great General with Lord of 10,000 Evils. Oh no! When the Great General saw this scene, the alarm in his mind exploded. Without thinking, he turned around and disappeared into the ultimate void again. Roar! A dragon roar sounded. The dragon god of all life had flown out at some point in time and roared in the direction where the Great General had fled. Then, the Lord of 10,000 Evils and the others saw a void crack quickly open under this dragon roar. The figure of the Great General, who had yet to escape, could be vaguely seen inside. "Give chase!" The Lord of 10,000 Evils was overjoyed when he saw this. They thought that after this fellow escaped into the void, they would not be able to continue chasing. Now that they saw this scene, they remembered that this pet of the common people's regal could open the gate of transmigration in the ultimate void at any time and place to teleport for a long distance. With the dragon god of all life around, this supreme god of the Sky Divine Kingdom who dared to come and assassinate him would definitely not be able to return. In the blink of an eye, the Lord of 10,000 Evils and the others immediately chased after the little dragon opened the gate of transmigration. In less than a moment, the Lord of 10,000 Evils and the others returned. However, unlike when they left, they were still holding a lifeless god's corpse in their hands. It was the corpse of the Sky Divine Kingdom's Great General. "I'll give it to Brother Common People's Regal." The Lord of 10,000 Evils laughed and threw the corpse in front of Zhou Feit. "Thank you, Brother Demon Lord," Zhou Feit said with a smile as he disassembled him. However, it was a pity that the elixir was something that had already been eaten, so it did not drop. Instead, as many as 20 supreme divine artifacts dropped. He was really getting rich. The Lord of 10,000 Evils only waved his hand when he heard this, looking like he didn't care. He had already brought his troops over to claim credit. Giving Zhou Fight a supreme god-level corpse was nothing. At the same time, when the Sky God Lord saw that his great general was killed, he fell into complete despair. There were only 2 supreme gods on his side, including he and the other grade 2 supreme god. He was also seriously injured and could not unleash any combat strength. On the other hand, the other party had more than 10 supreme gods, and all of them were equipped with supreme divine artifacts. It could be said to be extremely luxurious, and the combat power enhanced was naturally needless to say. Under such circumstances, the Sky God Lord looked at his trump cards and realized that he no longer had any hope of turning the tables. He looked at the battlefield below in a daze. He knew that the outcome of this continuing battle had already been announced the moment the great general failed his assassination and died. The other party's various means far exceeded his imagination. Furthermore, the trump card that he believed could be easily dealt with in the other party's eyes. This war, even though he was very indignant at his loss, he had nothing to say about it. At the same time, when Zhou Fight saw that the Sky God Lord did not use any other trump cards, he guessed that the Sky God Lord did not have any other tricks up his sleeve. Seeing this, he was completely relieved. It seemed that he had already taken down this battlefield. Zhou Fight felt that the overall difficulty of this Sky Void Mystic Realm was moderate. It was neither too easy nor too difficult. It was just right. It seemed that just as Lord of 10,000 Evils had said, these Void Mystic Realms in the Ultimate Void Battlefield were reward-type Mystic Realms. It would have a certain level of difficulty, but it would not be to the extent of despair. Its main purpose of existence was to give the Supreme Lord Reserve Army experience and rewards. It did not have any other intention of making things difficult. The other 2 Void Secret Realms should be similar. It would be in a different form at best. Zhou Fight guessed. From the looks of it, there was a high chance that he would be able to take down 3 Void Mystic Realms in the Wanlong War territory today. The subsequent development was just as Zhou Fight had expected. With the Sky God Lord having no more trump cards to deal, the Sky Divine Kingdom's army, which was already difficult to resist the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom's army and the Thousand Evil Army's army, had no hope of turning the tables. In less than 4 hours, the Sky Divine Kingdom army was completely destroyed. Not a single living god spirit of the Sky Divine Kingdom surrendered. Then, a loud laugh suddenly came from afar. "Ha ha! Brother Common People's Regal, look who I found?" Zhou Fight and the rest immediately looked over. The Lord of 10,000 Evils was personally escorting a god spirit over. This god spirit was none other than the Sky God Lord, the master of the Sky Divine Kingdom. At this moment, he had a downtrodden expression and a dispirited aura. After seeing the weekly battle, the once high and mighty Lord of the Divine Kingdom actually revealed a flattering smile. "Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army, can you spare my life? I'm a grade 4 Supreme God. If I join you, I'll definitely increase the strength of your subordinates greatly. I promise that I won't be disloyal after joining you. I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll destroy whoever you want me to destroy. I'm good." Many supreme gods looked scornful as soon as these words were spoken. It was the nature of life forms to be afraid of death. If another god spirit had said this, they would not have reacted at all. If it were them, their performance might not be better than the Sky God Lord's after all. However, the most important thing was that just now all the god spirits in the entire Sky Divine Kingdom, except for those who had been instigated by His Majesty to use the Sun of Destiny to incite defection, had all chosen to fight to the death and not retreat. None of them had chosen to surrender in order to survive, let alone say so many despicable words in order to survive. As the ruler of a divine kingdom, the Sky God Lord's backbone was not even comparable to any low-level god spirit from the Sky Divine Kingdom on the battlefield. They were too ashamed to be associated with such a supreme god. Faced with the Sky God Lord's words, Zhou Fight's expression was very indifferent. "You want to join this Emperor's Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom?" he asked lightly. Yes, please give me this chance, Your Excellency Regal." After I join you, I will definitely serve you well. The Sky God Lord's eyes lit up as he hurriedly expressed his loyalty. He had just taken a look at the supreme gods beside this Supreme Lord's reserve army. In the end, he discovered something that surprised him. Among this group of supreme gods, not a single one was a grade 4 supreme god. The strongest one was only a grade 3 supreme god realm, and it had just been induced from their sky divine kingdom to instigate insight defection. As a top-notch grade 4 supreme god, the Sky God Lord could not think of any reason for Zhou Fight to reject him. At the thought of this, the Sky God Lord felt that his life should be saved. He even had some thoughts deep in his heart. There didn't seem to be any top-notch powerhouses around the third reserve lord. The reason why these supreme gods around him were so powerful was mostly because of the set of supreme divine artifacts they had. With the support of the entire set of supreme divine artifacts, these grade 1 and grade 2 supreme gods could even fight against grade 3 and grade 4 supreme gods. And this common people's regal didn't have a grade 4 supreme god by his side. When he went over, he would definitely obtain the other party's favor. If he could make use of this opportunity, he might have a chance to take over the magpie's nest and make a comeback. The Sky God Lord thought to himself. If he could seize all the foundations of the third reserve army of the Supreme Lord, not only would he be able to escape from this mystic realm, he might even be able to take a step further and spy on the realm above the Supreme God. At the thought of this, the Sky God Lord was even more excited. However, he hid it very well. He still had a look of regret and hope on his face as he looked at Zhou Fight with anxiety and desire. When Zhou Fight heard the other party's words, he only glanced at the Sky God Lord. This simple glance made the Sky God Lord feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Under his gaze, the Sky God Lord even felt that his thoughts had been completely seen through. No, I won't. I am a grade 4 supreme god. And this Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army was only a pseudo-supreme god that had advanced by relying on law skills. How could he read my mind? The Sky God Lord comforted himself. However, at this moment, an indifferent voice suddenly sounded. This emperor refuses. What? The Sky God Lord looked at Zhou Fight in disbelief. You don't even want a grade 4 supreme god. What Zhou Fight said next shattered the hope in his heart. This emperor won't want a god spirit who comes knocking on my door with ulterior motives, no matter how strong that god spirit is. Zhou Fight said with a faint smile. Sky God Lord. At this moment, Zhou Fight's tone suddenly changed. Actually, if you had immediately led the army to surrender to this emperor when you saw that the situation was not right, this emperor would still be willing to let you join my army. It doesn't matter if you have ulterior motives. Unfortunately, you didn't. You chose to let the war continue until all the god spirits under your command died in battle. Until you became a loner. Only when you completely realized that you really had no hope of winning did you recognize the truth. After that, you chose to escape and didn't give up resisting and join this emperor. This emperor will definitely not allow you to surrender. Otherwise, if you survive like this, how will this emperor explain to the soldiers who just died in the war? Zhou Fight looked deeply at the Sky God Lord. This principle is the principle of surrender that the body has always adhered to. The clones also approved of this principle. Therefore, even if he did not have a grade 4 supreme god by his side, Zhou Fight still chose to reject his surrender. Besides, so what if he was a grade 4 supreme god? Not counting he himself. The grade 2 supreme gods under him were not inferior to grade 4 supreme gods, even if they wore a full set of grade 4 supreme divine artifacts. Did the Sky God Lord really think that he lacked the combat power of a grade 4 supreme god? When the Sky God Lord heard Zhou Fight's words, he was completely stunned. This was the real reason why he was not accepted as a surrender? After hearing Zhou Fight's words, Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at Zhou Fight with admiration again. Then, Zhou Fight waved his hand and got a supreme god to bring the Sky God Lord down to destroy him. After cleaning up the battlefield, I'll conquer the other 2 void mystic realms. Zhou Fight calculated in his heart. With the experience of conquering the Sky Void Mystic Realm, he believed that it wouldn't take too long to resolve the two Void Mystic Realms. A moment later, the entire Sky Void Mystic Realm shook slightly. Then, 5 white balls of light descended from the chaotic and dark purple sky and landed in front of Zhou Fight. Could this be our reward for attacking the Sky Void Mystic Realm? Zhou Fight looked at the 5 balls of light curiously. Then, he looked at them one by one. Zhou Fight was very familiar with the first 4 balls of light. They were the 4 treasures that the Sky God Lord had used to deal with them. They were Void Treasure, Summoning Mirror, Void Treasure, Mystic Spirit Mist, Void Treasure, Bewitching Bell, Void Treasure, Heavenly Saint Spirit Pill. The Summoning Mirror could immobilize and incite defection the enemy for a short period of time, but there was a certain time limit. Mystic Spirit Mist was a large-scale defensive treasure that could slightly increase the defense of the army under its command. The Bewitching Bell could confuse the mind, soul, and will. As for the Heavenly Saint Spirit Pill, it could temporarily increase one's strength to the level of a Grade 4 Supreme God. Zhou Fight looked at the 4 treasures in surprise. It seemed like these 4 treasures could only be obtained by killing the leaders of the opposing factions that occupied the Void Pocket dimension. Then, he asked the Supreme God who had executed the Sky God Lord. Indeed, he learned from the other party that the Sky God Lord did not drop these 5 treasures after his death. Indeed, the Sky God Lord only had these 5 treasures at the last minute. When his dies, the 5 treasures will naturally return to their original owners. Even this Heavenly Saint Spirit Pill will return to its original state. Zhou Fight thought. However, to be honest, based on the performance of the battle, Zhou Fight was not too interested in the first 3 treasures. Since it was too weak, it was not even comparable to the treasure in his hand. Only the Heavenly Saint Spirit Pill was interesting. Then, he looked at the 5th treasure. It was actually not accurate to call it a treasure. This was because the 5th treasure was the Void Mystic Realm token that controlled the entire Sky Void Mystic Realm. It was also completely chaotic and dark purple. It looked very ancient. As long as ones will recognize this token as its master, they could control the entire Void Secret Realm. Zhou Fight's eyes lit up when he saw the token. This was a true treasure. He could actually control the entire Void Mystic Realm. Zhou Fight had just seen with his own eyes how shocking the cultivation effects of this Void Mystic Realm were. The ordinary life forms living here did not cultivate much. At the very least, they could grow into extraordinary tier experts. If he cultivated seriously and had the guidance of a god spirit or an inheritance, it would not be a problem for him to become a god spirit. A low-tier deity-level elementary grade god spirit only needed to cultivate here for a month to advance from a low-tier deity-level elementary grade god spirit to a low-tier deity intermediate grade god spirit. There are other benefits as well. Other than the fact that this place was located in the ultimate void battlefield and it was very difficult for life forms from the outside world to enter, there were almost no other shortcomings. Zhou Fight immediately decided to use this place as his military base. Blazing Sun bases 1, 2, 3 were all too weak compared to this place. Then, he thought of something and looked at the Lord of 10,000 Evils. Brother Demon Lord, I want this Void Mystic Realm token and the Heavenly Saint Spirit Pill. As for the 3 treasures, how about you take them? I don't want them either. I've already benefited a lot from being able to fight this Void Mystic Realm with you. The Lord of 10,000 Evils shook his head. He could not even enter the Sky Void Mystic Realm without Zhou Fight, let alone perform in front of the Supreme Will. What were these treasures in the face of earning an improved impression of the Supreme Will? He would have even wanted to pay for Zhou Fight to let he participate in the war that Zhou Fight was about to carry out if he could think of a better reason. However, Zhou Fight was very insistent. The 2 sides gave way to each other for a long time before reaching a conclusion. The Lord of 10,000 Evils didn't want the treasures of the Void Mystic Realm, nor did he want the control of the Void Mystic Realm. He only needed 1/10 of the gains from the Mystic Realm to lead the troops to participate in the war with Zhou Fight. In addition, he needed to revive the god spirits who had died under him in the battle last week. Of course, supreme gods were too powerful and were temporarily not within the resurrection range. Both of them were very satisfied with this result. Especially Zoophyte. With the life arc and the grade 1 supreme god of death, Thanatos, around, reviving the god spirit would not cost him much after all. By the way, brother demon lord, what kind of treasure is a void treasure? Zoophyte asked. By the way, brother demon lord, what kind of treasure is a void treasure? Some of them will happen to fall into the universe and become rare extraterrestrial treasures. Of course, the rarity varies from person to person. It's naturally nothing to the supreme will. For us, it's a good treasure. For ordinary life forms, it's an unparalleled treasure. The Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled. Zoophyte was enlightened. He looked at the 5 treasures rewarded by the Sky Void Mystic Realm and clicked, his tongue in wonder. So the Supreme Will had placed the treasures floating over from the void here as a reward. He shook his head and did not care about this. He completed the mission only to obtain military merits and mission medals. These other treasures were just bonuses. Right at that moment, a supreme god flew over and came in front of Zoophyte. Your Majesty, a master god who claims to be from the Sky Mystic Realm wants to see you. Let him in. Zoophyte said nonchalantly. Yes, your grace, the supreme god said respectfully. Soon, a 4-headed and 2-armed people of foreign races flew over and landed in front of Zoophyte and Lord of 10,000 Evils. Why are you looking for this emperor? Zoophyte asked. I'm here to thank the regal lord for saving us. The master god of the people of foreign races said nervously and gratefully. This emperor destroyed your sky divine kingdom. Yet you're still grateful to me? Zoophyte smiled. Regal lord, we can't wait for you to destroy this fucking sky divine kingdom as soon as possible. Hatred flashed in the eyes of the master god of the people of foreign races. This sky divine kingdom has chosen the god spirits born in the sky continent to join their sky divine kingdom and serve them as slaves. They respected the so-called god spirits with the royal bloodline and did not treat the god spirits who ascended from our continents as god spirits. They even refined a dharma treasure called the blood transformation pool to fuse with our divine bones and transform into our divine blood as food for their advancement. Many of my friends and relatives died at the hands of these bastards. If I hadn't fled so quickly back then, I'm afraid what you're seeing now would have been a pile of bones. Zoophyte's expression changed when he heard this and he communicated with Zero. Soon, Zero replied to him and said that there was indeed a chemical divine pool in the shrine of the Sky Divine Kingdom, and there was more than one. The Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled with an ordinary expression, as if he had just heard a small matter. Most closed-off worlds are like this. No matter how prosperous the world was in the beginning, without communication with the outside world, as time passes, the interior of the world will eventually become a pool of smelly, stagnant water. Involution, infighting, fratricidal. It's hard to stop unless there's some outside interference, he casually said. Zoophyte nodded slightly. He had many inherited memories in his mind. Many worlds were indeed like this. This emperor only wants to conquer the Sky Divine Kingdom and has never thought of killing you. However, since this emperor has taken over the Sky Divine Kingdom, you will be my subject in the future. This emperor can guarantee that your lives will not be like before. Thank you for your kindness, your majesty. The master god of the people of foreign races said nervously and gratefully. They could only believe what this regal said. There was no other choice. A moment later, all the treasures of the Sky Divine Kingdom had been plundered. Right at that moment, Bayun came in front of Zoophyte and raised a world ring. Your Majesty, look at what I found in the treasure vault of the Sky Divine Kingdom. Oh! Zoophyte looked at Bayun's excited expression and could not help but be interested. He took the world rings and entered it with his divine consciousness. Then, his eyes lit up. This was because he had discovered a total of 53 Chaos Divine treasures in this world ring. Were these world rings found in the Divine Kingdom's treasure vault of the Sky Divine Kingdom? Zoophyte immediately asked. Yes, your grace. However, The god spirits of the Sky Divine Kingdom don't seem to understand the use of this Chaos Divine treasure. They even placed these Chaos Divine treasures together with a pile of low-tier deity-level divine crystals. Bayun shook her head because she naturally knew that His Majesty valued this Chaos Divine treasure. She did not expect that these god spirits of the Sky Divine Kingdom would actually equate the value of the Chaos Divine treasure to a pile of low-level divine crystals. Find a supreme god of the Sky Divine Kingdom who succeeded in insight defection. Zhou Feit said. Yes, Your Grace. Bayun immediately accepted the order and went to look for those guys. Soon, she reappeared with a grade 3 supreme god realm with transparent wings on his back. This supreme god was none other than the Sky Marshal, Bakar, who had just ambushed the Sky God Lord. Bakar greets Your Majesty, Bakar said respectfully with a fanatical expression. Bakar, do you know about these things? Zhou Feit asked directly with a Chaos Divine treasure in his hand. Bakar took a look and nodded. Your Grace, I know. These are chaotic divine demons' chaotic divine treasures. How can there be a chaotic divine demon's chaotic divine treasure in your Sky Void mystic realm? Zhou Feit asked curiously. It's said that in the ancient legendary tier, our void mystic realm was originally created by the chaotic divine demon. The moment the legendary tier void mystic realm was officially born, the chaotic divine demon fused with the Tao and fused into the entire void mystic realm, stabilizing it completely. Then we, the life forms of the void mystic realm, were born. These chaotic divine treasures were left behind by the chaotic divine demons after they died. However, after we collected these relics, we discovered that there were only some relatively special chaotic energy and chaotic laws inside. Other than the fact that they were forged by the heavens and the earth, there was nothing special about them. Therefore, the first God Lord of the Sky Divine Kingdom treated them as collectibles and threw them into the treasure vault of the Divine Kingdom. Bakar said. Zhou Feit was enlightened. It turned out that this void mystic realm was created by the Supreme Will ordering the chaotic divine demons. No wonder there was so much chaotic energy inside. A smile appeared on his face. It seems I cannot let go of the other void mystic realms in the future. There were many chaos divine treasures inside that he could obtain. More than an hour later, the battlefield had already been cleaned up, and the Sky Divine Kingdom had almost been plundered. Seeing this, Zhou Feit led his army and left with Lord of 10,000 Evils and the 1,000 Evils army. He would naturally bring troops back to the Sky Void Mystic Realm after completing the mission. The remaining 2 Void Mystic Realms were called Hero Void Mystic Realm and All Flames Void Mystic Realm. They were controlled by 2 Grade 4 Supreme Gods and a large number of God Spirits. Their forces were about the same as the forces of the Sky Divine Kingdom. So Zhou, whose strength had increased greatly again, only spent more than 6 hours to easily take down these 2 Void Mystic Realms. Apart from his normal gains, Zhou Feit also obtained 110 Chaos Divine Treasures from the 2 Void Mystic Realms. Coupled with the 53 Chaos Divine Treasures he had obtained in the Sky Void Mystic Realm, it brought everything to a total of 163 Chaos Divine Treasures. Zhou Feit nodded in satisfaction. He was originally only short of 93 Chaos Divine Treasures to upgrade his territory. Now, not only did he not lack them, he even had a lot more. This way, his main body could upgrade his territory today. At this moment, lines of text appeared in front of Zhou Feit. Ultimate Void Battlefield Mission Hint. Congratulations, Lord of the Blazing Sun. You have successfully conquered 3 Void Mystic Realms in the Wanlong War territory. You are rewarded with 10,000,000 military merits, 10 Supreme God Mission Medals, and 1 Universal Race Divine Artifacts. Zhou Feit nodded. Then, he opened his military merit panel. User, Lord of the Blazing Sun, Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army, Ultimate Void Battleground, the 2nd Leader of the Supreme Will Camp, Military Merits, 26 million points Mission Medal, 21.5 Supreme Mission Medals. Other rewards, none. Bayun. Lead the soldiers and station them in the Hero Void Mystic Realm and the All Flames Void Realm. This emperor will return to the Demon Lord's base planet first. Zhou Feit asked. Yes, Your Grace. Bai Yun said respectfully and immediately made the arrangements. When Zhou Feit saw this, he rode the dragon god of all life back to the planet where the Demon Lord's base was. The Demon Lord base planet in front of the Supreme God Realm Monument. Zhou Feit was not in a hurry to choose the treasures in the Supreme God Realm Monument. Instead, he first checked the universal race divine artifacts rewarded by the mission. This racial divine artifact was a fiery red cover that emitted a faint heat. Zhou Feit first recognized it as his master before looking over. Race divine artifact name, Fire God Barrier, equipment grade, low-level racial divine artifact, bound. Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, Race Divine Artifact Ability, Fire God's Heart, Universal Race Divine Artifacts. Living beings protected by the Fire God Barrier have a 10% chance of awakening a fire spirit body during their growth, greatly increasing their cultivation speed. There is a 1% chance of awakening the Fire Supreme Mystic body. He could also awaken the true God-tier talent, Fire Control, as his cultivation speed greatly increases. There is a 0.01% chance of awakening the Fire God's sacred body and having all the advantages of the Fire God. When you advance with the Fire Law in the future, you can advance all the way to the advanced grade Master God Spirit without any bottlenecks. Moreover, when you advance to the Supreme God with the Fire Law, the probability of advancement will increase by 20%. Race Divine Artifact Description: a law treasure created by the Law of Fire in the myriad worlds. At the same time, it is also a race divine artifact of the Fire Spirit race. Later on, it was sold to the ultimate void battlefield by the Fire Spirit race's patriarch. Now, it has fallen into the hands of the common people's regal. I don't know if it will be a blessing or a curse in the future. Zhou Feit nodded slightly after reading it. Its attributes were not bad. He put it away and then began to check the top treasures in the Supreme God Realm Monument.